Hey, everybody. You're listening to Crystal here with the Plant Pusher podcast. And what's really, really exciting is that we're here with you to always talk about all things plants, colors, textures, shapes, their impacts on your life. I love working with plants. I love introducing you to new plants. And here at Plant Pusher, that's what I do. I push you straight to the plants. Hey, everybody. And today, I'm your plant pusher every day. But we're going to talk about a plant that we've never discussed. And today, you guys, what we're talking about? Beet sugar. Beat it up. Okay, so listen. Beet sugar is really popular. And I know people are like, what? There's a difference? There are so many different types of sugars out there that it's really important to know that plants play a really vital role in your sugars. So you've got a variety of sugars out there. But today we're talking about beet sugar. So let's talk about it because beet sugar has a really fascinating journey and how it made its origins to modern day applications. But I'll tell y'all something, beet sugar derived from sugar beets. And it has a really long, interesting history because the cultivation of beets for sugar really began back in the early 19th century in Europe. It really was a response to the Napoleonic Wars, and they disrupted the supply of sugarcane and things got messy. And, sugarcane was coming from the Caribbean. And so when they couldn't get any, they had to find an alternative route. So a French chemist by the name of Benjamin de Lessard decided that he was credited for developing the process to extract sugar from sugar beets on basically an industrial scale. And so that production basically just skyrocketed beet sugar so quickly. It went all throughout Europe. It continued and eventually went to other parts of the world. And then even today, we still use sugar beets. They're grown in countries from Russia to France to the United States, Germany. I mean, there are a lot of really large producers. And Germany is actually the largest producer of the sugar beets. So if you think that it's not around you, it really, really is, because oftentimes it's used in a lot of the food that we have here. So beet sugar is a really versatile ingredient as a whole, but it's used in things like your food products. It's commonly used in sweeteners, in your baked goods, candy, beverages, all kind of things that you probably ingest weekly, But beet sugar is also used in the production of jams, jellies, and preserves. But then it's kind of like in the manufacturing, of processed foods, such as sauces too. Think about your salad dressings, your barbecue sauces, your ketchups, your condiments, all kind of things. So it makes it really interesting because in addition to it being used for the food industry, beet sugar also has applications in other sectors as well, because it's also being used in the production of pharmaceuticals. Did you know that? Yep, and even in cosmetics, and even in manufacturing of biofuels. If you remember when we talked about cane sugar, we talked about it also being used in fueling vehicles, which is pretty interesting. But beet sugar is also used in the production of ethanol as well, because it's a renewable fuel source that can be an alternative to gasoline. But the cultivation of sugar beets and the production of beet sugar have come a long way since the humble beginnings, guys. With the advancements of technology and sustainable farming practices, beet sugar production has become even more efficient and environmentally friendly. But as we think about things, we got to remember that beet sugar will continue to play a pretty significant role in the global food industry. So what we've got to do is remember that it's versatile, it's got a variety of applications, and it's sure to remain probably a staple in most of our everyday lives. But remember that, like we said, when you think about the pharmaceutical industries, you think about cosmetics, think about food. Sugar beets, baby, they beating it up. Maybe we need to invest in them. I don't know. But imagine that. So yeah, you have dates. Yes, you have sugar cane. Then you have monk fruit and agave. You have all these other beautiful sweeteners. You have honey. But sugar beets, they really want to be number one pretty bad, okay? So when I shop, I personally look for other alternatives to a variety of sweeteners just because I like having a really versatile option that's good for you and good to you. But don't get me wrong, there's always a little sugar beets in the cabinet, just in case. I got to bake something marvelous and delicious on the side on the fly. But listen, I just had to bring you a little information about these sugar beets because I know y'all didn't know. Oftentimes, you got to remember that sugar was really, really brought into the forefront of industrialization. We're looking at over 50 years ago, 60, 70 years ago. So sugar had not always been as prominent because remember when we discussed cane sugar, we discussed that years and years and years ago that sugar was reserved for the elite and the wealthy. And now for the common person, sugar's everywhere, which to me is like, got to think about that, right? Because why is sugar so prevalent and we use it in so many things? Like, for example, do you really need sugar in your ketchup? Right. So it makes you think like some things you might want to use a little less of, some things you might want to use a little more of, but we got to have balance. And even nature gave us plants that would balance out the process for making things sweet and tasty, for your favorite drink, for your pharmaceutical needs, for your lip balm needs for your kid who has that flavored lip balm. So we want to really, really give credence and give love for the plants that help us have life a little easier these days. And sugar beets are here to stay. Okay? I'm your plant pusher, pushing all the dopest plants on you. And today, put them sugar beets in your engine. Okay, don't really do that. I'm just kidding. Okay? Yes, it's an alternative to ethanol, but please don't put that in your car and say, I told you so. Don't do that. I play a lot. Peace. This show, Plant Pusher Podcast, is brought to you by Possibilities Podcast Platform. We appreciate you listening. Stay tuned. Your favorite episode is up next.